so a lot of times I really feel like I'm just a piece in the puzzle that's being moved around by something bigger than me. You know what I mean?
Very true.
And I'm like, sometimes
you feel
I'm
like cosmic
shit.
pull.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's in, man. I hear you, man. It's like fucking,
dude.
it's like this fire that never goes out, and you're like, bro, I'm trying to sleep out here.
Yeah.
I mean, like, but fucking, that's why we are who we are,
Yeah, man.
So you come back stateside after your time at Osaka, and where's your first destination? Where do you go back to?
It's right in like 2008.
Yeah.
And there's jobs are very few in the valley in Phoenix. It's like the middle of the summer and is verging on fall. Some of the places are gearing up to staff for this winter season in Phoenix.
Yep.
And so I'm really struggling to find a job, even though I have this really amazing looking resume.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hand it to these white dude chefs and they look at me and they read it like, is this for real shit? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Is this guy lying?
Because I'm not a big dude, you know what I mean? I'm just, just a cook, dude from the res and all that. And I just present myself the way I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I couldn't find work, and I was just hanging out, not really, no purpose, no drive. Mm-hmm. And I came back to the res in 2008.
Gotcha.
And our community here was having a job fair, which they have every year for the ski resort.
Yeah.
And so I went to the ski resort, and I was like, screw it, man, I'll get a line cooking job, hang out and cook for some ski bunnies, you know what I mean, some snow bunnies and all that. Just hang out, and I'll bounce back to the city in the spring. And so I applied, and I got hired as a line cook at night. And this place that we worked at, it was the Sunrise Hotel, and it was like hot tub time machine, dude.
Yeah.
it hadn't changed since like when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Our tribe owns it. And so I went in there, and first day on the job, it blew my mind because everybody in the kitchen, everybody from the head chef to the manager to the dishwasher to the front of the house, everybody was White Mountain Apache or native.
Yeah.
And just being in that environment was like, holy shit, this is what I've been looking for all over the world. I was trying to find it, hoping to build it, trying to find a place where I could fit in.
Yeah.
And all from coast to coast in America and abroad. And then yet it was right here in my backyard. But, granted, the food was like powdered mash and frozen shit.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? It was all unorganized.
Yeah.
Chefs and cooks were drunk on the line and shit. But after that one season, the chef position would vacate and people would encourage me to apply. Because slowly they'd see me cutting all perfect and doing all, organizing my station.
Being clean.
And so I applied and got the job as the head chef there. And again, I'm just like, man, this is not my shit. This is not my level. Like I'm quote unquote better than this. Yeah. But still kind of jaded from that early experience those years ago. And so like, I'm just going to take this first executive chef job, and I'll keep it for a year or two, and I'll bounce back to the city. Then I'll get another high paying job. And cause that's what I was on a mission to try to get, was become a head chef or a chef de partie. A chef de cuisine or a head chef. But when I got there and I got that chef's position, we didn't radically change the menu. We just started cooking things from scratch. And we started building the skills of the team. Mm-hmm. And that's where I would really see the cultural strength of some of these young, capable Apache people that had no experience or very little experience kind of grow and blossom and change. Yeah. And even fail and fall off the team. So it's my own community, people I love, people that probably were related to me, people I was aware of, you know what I mean? And we're bringing this whole kind of culinary culture. Yeah. And what I had to do was like put on my racehorse blinders and not look at any of my favorite restaurants. I couldn't compare myself to anyone else. I couldn't compare us to any other restaurant because we were just something different, Spiritually, we were like White Mountain Apache in our sacred mountains in that old beat-up hotel, real small food budget, really old kitchen. But what we have the most control over is our minds and what we do. You know what I mean? So taking the stories and the experience and the food history and starting to do what I was seeing at Mary Lane's in this old beat-up hotel. We had this big old prep area right about probably like 6 feet away from the line. I was like, you know what? Fuck it, man. I'm going to do a chef's table. After the team got strong enough, after about 3 years. Yeah. So I did what I fucking want to do at Mary Lane's. You know what I mean? Yeah. We cleared out that whole space in the back, the team was strong enough. We could set up a table and seat 2, 4, 6, or 8 people and do these hardcore tasting menus. You know, like 8, 9, 10, 12, 16 courses sometimes of all native foods, and tell a story of native foods from Argentina to Mexico to the United States to Alaska to Canada, and it was all Apaches doing it.
Yeah.
And that made it legit to me, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so that was this amazing journey that I didn't expect, and it would keep me there for 9 years.
Got you. So you really grew that place.
Yeah, we got a lot of great press out of it, but it didn't change our reality, right? We're like 3.5, 4 hours away from Phoenix, really red police state in Arizona.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the demographics and the political state and the social context of how we exist as White Mountain Apaches in relation to American citizens, and the reputation of the ski resort at the time. You know what I mean? We got really great press. We were in Forbes, Food and Wine. We were making all these big and small articles for Native American cuisine. But it was mostly local people here and from the res that were coming to our chef's tables, you know?
Nice.
Yeah, so it was pretty grassroots, and we were always proud of that. We were always terrified like some hardcore reviewer might come up and just tear us to shit because we didn't meet expectations, you know what I mean? But again, man, racehorse blinders, and you just keep working.
Yeah.
And we built a few good young Apache chefs out of it, you know what I mean? There's a couple small spots where they were still working and doing their thing. Some of the cooks that we worked with in our team are doing like some of the food camps for some of the activities that are seasonal. And I think that's where we really began to see the value of circulating our traditional ecological knowledge in our community instead of exporting the talent. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that experience, and also that in 2010 is when my father would die, and that was another huge loss that had an impact on me that I didn't realize. And it was that year after that where I decided to get clean in 2011. You know what I mean? So all this journey was trying to find where I fit in the world, trying to find all these great places, all these legends and amazing stuff I had heard, even on the other side of the planet. But then the whole time, the health and the healing and the strength that I needed was right in those mountains. Yeah. And that old beat up hotel. You know what I mean? With me and my rezzed out crew of Apache chefs. You know what I mean? And to me, that's fucking poetry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It is, dude.
I'm like, fuck yeah. And I still try to be humble with it because I know what we were working with. I know what we did. I know who was impacted. I know who made it. I know who failed. You know what I mean? I still see us in the community. You know what I mean? People still, some of them still call me chef. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's cool, you know? So that was set this foundation for what we do now. You know what I mean? Because some of that big press, there was people fishing to try to get me to go to Washington, D.C. or go to Seattle or go to L.A. Or back to the Valley and do something on a bigger scale. But the messaging I would get from losing my dad and then getting sober, and I was seeing shit different and hearing shit different with clarity and patience and a little bit more maturity. Native Foods were saying something different, man. They're like, we have the most power right here with you and the people that love it the most. If you take it off the res and you do something, you set up shop in a big city, who are you going to be cooking for, you know? Yeah. You're just going to be like a dancing bear, you know what I mean? Yep. You'll be a novelty still out there doing some performative cuisine where you are the authority. But when I'm here in my community is the authority. You know what I mean? My community, if they can validate a traditional Apache acorn stew that we do, we've made it. You know what I mean? Yeah. If the wood we're cooking with is correct, if how we treat the corn is correct, if how we treat some of these old school foods that are real simple is correct, then we're doing it right. You know what I mean? So it's this different kind of dynamic, man. But that's kind of what led us to where we're at. And fortunately, this opportunity came with the treatment center. Yeah. Yeah. And
was that right after the hotel?
Yeah, it was kind of in, I would leave the hotel in 2016 and I would begin ramping up to do the cafe. We were hoping to have it open by the spring or summer of 2017. Gotcha. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we had the whole design, the layout, everything approved, the contractors selected, a lot of the vision casting. I was starting to recruit and staff. Yeah. And so we got to that first phase and stuff just began to happen. and, you know, build outs get complex and stuff on the res. It's difficult to get resources into the res. And some people, it's difficult to get things done for a number of different reasons. So the project would get delayed, but we're still working and we're still honing our therapeutic approach, our clinical approach. We're still doing groups. We're using native foods, because I would come on board and become the nutritional recovery program coordinator. And so the nutritional recovery program is this combination of indigenous foods, professional cooking, vocational skills, and like professional development. You know what I mean? All with this underlying guise that if we can just allow some of our own people to connect with native foods again, that connection will be their experience, not ours. And the foods are the carriers of knowledge and memory. They're like data or microchips. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All we got to do is just present them respectfully and in a good way. Then fluent Apache language speakers can recite the creation story when they have a memory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fluent Apache language can teach us how to say corn or beans or squash in our language. So that's kind of how the nutritional recovery is designed and built. And so we finally just opened it this past about 4 or 5 weeks ago, about just selling food only. We got other things in the works, but that's where we're at right now.
It's a beautiful space. The kitchen is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a gym.
So functional. You could tell a worker really planned the kitchen. You know?
Dude, it's crazy, man. Like, I say this with the utmost respect to all my chefs, all my mentors, everyone that's ever worked with me, anyone that's ever known about some of the stuff I talk about with native foods. Like, when it came to that opportunity to do it, all my time at Sunrise at the ski resort, I got to see how far in between opportunities come and how little resources are available. And then coming into the clinical environment to have the opportunity to create a treatment modality to help aid in the recovery from incarceration, diabetes, addiction, violence, all these real hardcore topics that people don't want to talk about. But I'm like, hell yeah, we can do it through food. Food brings us all together. You know what I mean? So designing that kitchen, it all came out of my mind. Seriously. I just sat down and sketched it out on some graph paper. That service island you saw in the middle, I designed that, sent it off to SML, and they sent it back, and we made it happen. The contractors took the ideas and built that kitchen. Yeah. The 4 Apache colors are woven into the building. There's those green tiles, the black chairs, the white tiles on the wall, and the yellow ponderosa pine. And those are our 4 sacred colors. But it was really designed because, as you saw it, man, it's an old gas station. That corner where the kitchen is at now is where the soda machine was, the nacho cheese machine, the hot dog rollers. You know, it was all the slushy machine. It was all the Slurpee machine. All that was right there in the corner. But so I had to create it in a way. I was going to do a straight line, but that wouldn't work. So I had to kind of think back and how long was the straight line at DC Ranch to kind of how many covers we were doing. How long was the line at Mary Lane's and how many covers we're doing, and how can we make it like a little clock to work? You know what I mean? So a lot of that is just sketched out, and I know that a lot of chefs that I've cooked with don't have that opportunity. Yeah. And so I really feel like I still walk in there first one in the morning, 5 in the morning, turn on the lights. I'm like, holy shit, this is still real. You know? Yeah. Like, fuck.
That's the best feeling in the world, man. And kitchen by yourself.
It's humbling. Seriously.
So great.
We designed it to try to reach a high standard of care. Like in the mental health, behavioral health field, we really shoot for to do the best quality work we can, achieve high standards of quality care, and deliver services at a high level. So taking my personal experience with recovery and then my professional experience and all that journey in the wilderness trying to study native foods, and then some of the old school training from the back, and then some of the recent stuff, like still staying on the pulse as I can with food culture out there. Yeah. And seeing some of my counterparts from back in the day really do some amazing stuff. And it just kind of all comes together to culminate in that little tiny kitchen. You know what I mean? Like the cooled prep room that we have, that was inspired by both Single Thread and by Meadowood. Yeah. You know what I mean? The eco grip on the floor was like, I was like, holy shit. I walked into the kitchen at Single Thread with Chef Kyle. I walked and stepped on the floor. I was like, what the hell is this?
It's non-slip.
It's like, you could spray it and clean it. Yeah. He's like, it's good on your back too. I'm like, what? Yeah. I was like, so creating the language to justify that as a treatment modality and draw out all the best behavioral elements